This is Calvin Castine. We're at the St. Edmunds Parish Hall in Ellenburg. And we are surrounded, as you can see, by quilts. And would you believe that every one of these quilts, including a whole bunch that have been sold already, this show began 2 hours ago, were made by just 5 people. We're going to find out all about that and get a little quilting demonstration as we look at this very nice display. And we're going to talk to the youngest. She wanted to make sure that I knew that. The youngest of the Silver Sisters, Leona Manor. Leona, are there just 5 sisters in the family?
Yes. It was a total of 11 children. We had 6 boys, 5 girls. And my older brother has passed on, along with my mother. But we just love quilting. And my older sisters got into it, of course, years ago. And this is the result of their work. I have a few things here, but I've just barely gotten started.
So you're the rookie then, huh?
I guess so.
Now, this couldn't be 1 year's work. This is a long time?
It's over quite a few years. But some of my sisters are, of course, this is just about all they do at their spare time is with quilting and making things, and they just love it.
So instead of going to the bar or to the golf course, this is what they do, right?
That's right. And getting into all new designs and new techniques. I have a niece in Albany who teaches. Now, and this yellow and blue applique is one of her works, right there.
Yellow and blue applique.
Right there.
Right where?
Right. Yep.
This, right here in front of us here with
right.
all the little designs on it there?
Yes. Yeah, she really got into it. Does beautiful work, of course. And over here, we have these numbered. This is our challenge for this year.
All right, so what does that mean?
We all had this piece of fabric. We each bought a yard of this, and we had to use it in a quilt. Our own design, and we did this last summer. We picked this out. And then the year later, we put them all together.
Okay, so you're competing against each other.
In a way, all the viewers come and they vote on what their favorite one is.
Now there's 6, that includes your niece then?
Right, yeah, she's been included the last couple of years because she really enjoys doing this work.
All right, so
at the end of the show, we'll find out what.
And no names attached, so nobody can play favorites.
Right.
Now, can you stuff the ballot box? How many times have you voted today?
Well, I won't say.
You voted at least 10 times today, right?
We've had quite a few come back and say how they enjoyed the voting, And then they want to know, well, who did which one, But I have to make sure they vote before I could tell them.
Let's wander over here to this big heart, this Valentine's quilt that is so prominent here. Now this is your mother, and
yes.
She died just about a year ago then, huh?
Yes. She was 98, and she quilted until she was 93 years old.
In Champlain, we just lost a lady who was 97 within the last couple of days, Mrs. Frances St. Maxon, and she was such an institution in the community.
Right.
And when you have people that are 93 years old and still active, that's a blessing, isn't it?
She lived alone, and just the last few months that she had to have care, and we were lucky enough that my sisters, a couple of them, moved right in with her and took care of her.
Okay, let me.
And we have some of her. We have her sewing machine and her mother's sewing machine here. And some of the work that she did.
Let me get a shot of her here. There she is. And her name was Catherine Nichols Silver. And her mother also was a quilter?
Oh, yes. Of course, in those days, you had to be. Really?
It was nothing unique at that time, was there?
Right. Anything, scraps of clothing that were not used were put into quilts. Even those, if you can get a picture of those strainer pads, those were recycled. They strained the milk with them, we washed them, and sewed them together. And that made the quilts. I bought that one at an auction. I wasn't going to let that go. And here's a baby one that my mother made, and it's still hanging on. So, and that's what they did.
Nothing went to waste back then. You
No.
didn't take stuff to the dump, or you used it.
And this was made by my aunt, my mother's sister, back in '30. And it's registered with the Museum of American Folk Art. So they have all the history on this. But some of these quilts are, there's just so much work in them.
Without getting into any fancy quilts, how long would it take a person to hour-wise? You keep track of that, or you just don't worry about the hours?
Not really, because when you have a minute at night, you sit down and you're working, and you stop and think, oh my, I've been on this now for 2 or 3 months, but you don't really put the time in.
Well, the nice thing about quilting is your fingers probably do it automatically, right? It's like tying your shoes.
After a while, right? And
So
now we've gotten into, of course, machine quilting, which is faster. It is much faster, but these here were done, this was done by hand. And that one, the white Hagerstown feather, was done by machine. It's, that part of that is what they call trapunto. It looks very puffy. Well, there's a special technique for that.
To me, unless it's got patchwork and different colors, it doesn't look like a quilt, but that is a quilt, right?
Oh, that is, and that has won some ribbons. It won a vendor's ribbon at the Rutland Fair in April. That was done by Irene.
Irene Bow. All right, so tell us about the hearts here.
Okay, there were 11 children, and all their names are starting from 1, Ken, all our names, and then our spouses' names, and our children's names. And this was done, I believe, quite a few years ago. I don't think there's a year on it.
So your mother was around to see this then?
Oh yes, oh yes. That was one of Irene's first quilts that she did, and she presented it to my mother, and that was a beloved quilt, I'll tell you.
I see a question mark up there. Was that a...
He
wasn't out of the oven yet?
I don't know. You have to ask Irene. She did that.
All right, let's name all the children then while we're here.
Kenneth, Marie, Lloyd.
All right. When you give a lady, give her current name.
Marie Clark, and Lloyd, James, Teresa Skelly, Irene Bow, Bernadette Nichols, Victor, Leona Manor, Gerald, and Tommy. Well, Tom. We call him our baby brother.
Is most of your family in the area?
Yes. Marie and Tom are down Dover Plains, Wingdale area, and Teresa's in Albany. But Lloyd is here in Ellenburg, Jim lives in Plattsburgh, and all the rest are here. They're here, Churubusco, Ellenburg, Chattagate, all close.
That's great. All right, what? These are a lot of these. I assume are patterns you can buy too. That.
They're different patterns out of books, whatever. Some are just their original, like this. This Sue and Sam. Bernadette made this. This was her own design. It was the challenge from 1997. We had to use three or four different fabrics, and that was her own design. Now this bug jar quilt, that's a standard pattern in a book, but then you put your own fabrics to it, come up with your own design. It's always fun.
Some of these are smaller quilts.
Right, there could be a wall hanging, for instance, this one is, or a crib quilt. Some they even make really small, and they call them door quilts. And then we have miniatures, which we are raffling off with a teddy bear, which is very small. And we do them for doll quilts too. And we even have some as keychains.
Now, you do this every year?
This is our first really big show. We were at our mother's last year, and we had to show them all one by one because we didn't have an area to put them in. And we were wondering how we could do it this year, but then we thought of the hall, and we asked Father Joe, and here we are.
And here's everybody else in town too. It looks like you have a good turnout.
We've got a good turnout today, and I'm seeing family members and friends that we haven't seen for years. And it's just been a lot of fun, really a lot of fun. There's work involved, but you enjoy it. At least I do.
And this is something you can do while you're watching television or chatting with friends?
I do. Right, you can. And get together, and there's a lot of people now that are getting more interested in quilts and quilting. It's coming to be quite a thing.
Now, you don't do it while you're watching television? I got that impression?
Well,
I can't imagine, watching hometown cable and quilting at the same time would be a great experience.
Unfortunately, do not get cable.
You don't get cable, huh?
No. I'll have to go to somebody's house and watch it. Yeah. But, I can watch TV as long as my sewing machine's in the line with the TV, so I can watch that. If it's a good show.
You don't want to sew your fingers together accidentally, right?
No. And I have to be where there's good light.
Now, something like hearts here, do you have to, do you get a pattern you can trim these out with, or how do you...
Right, a template. And they cut them out. Some of these are machine appliqued, and some are done by hand. But they're done on a 6-inch square, and these are scraps. Now, this is Sister's quilt, Marie, Irene, and Teresa. Now, Bernadette and I are doing one, but we're a little later than the other ones. And it's just scraps that we put together, and we have lots of scraps.
Well, I imagine after you make a quilt, you've got little pieces here and there.
It's amazing what you can do with them.
Well, yeah, these pieces here can't be much more than 3 by 3.
Right. This is only a 6-inch square right here. So, and you get some applique pieces that are very small.
All right. Now, you mentioned when you talked with me on the phone about a demonstration. Tell us what's going to happen.
Okay. Irene does machine quilting. And you have to move the quilt to get your design. Well, you met her. All right, she's here.
Okay, well, we'll...
explaining something here.
Okay, well, we're going to have a demonstration here. There are a couple demonstration tables set up, and we're going to have a command performance just for us here at Hometown Cable, so stick around for that.
Here and shows...
All right, what do we have going on here, Leona? Irene Bow?
Yes, and she is showing just how she does this is free motion quilting.
All right, I'm going to have to zoom in here, so I'm going to have to ask you to hold the microphone.
Okay. As you can see, the machine stays permanent, and she has to move the material to get her design. This is like drawing a picture, but holding where the pencil stays permanent, and you move the paper.
Now, that's not sketched out there for. That's all freehand, right? You just...
Right, Irene, you don't have a pattern on that one. No.
Not on this one.
You can do it that way because you can buy the paper and design your own pattern and then go over it. But most of the time, she does it freehand.
So I would say you wouldn't pick up a sewing machine and start doing this tomorrow, would you?
It takes a little practice.
Now,
And for me, it would take a lot of practice. I've tried it, and but it's something you have to do every day.
Well, I'd say there's some people who could never do it because you've got to have a talent here. It's
Right,
not just
right. Oh yes, there's a certain
experience.
amount of talent. Right.
I can do it, anybody. Oh, listen.
If you can do it, anybody can, right? Right.
But all right.
How long has she been quilting anyway? How many years?
Less than 4 years on this.
Less than 4 on the machine.
On this machine, all right. But altogether, any idea how long she's been quilting?
How many years ago did you start?
About 20 years been making quilts.
That's
So-
all. Oh, so this wasn't something you.
This is new.
Yeah. These machines are quite the thing.
So you didn't start doing this as children then? Huh?
No, I mean I a little bit of sewing, but nothing. No.
Which sister started doing this first? Actually,
Was it Marie? Yeah, the oldest.
The oldest. Well, give me an age then. Where would Irene fit in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here?
Middle one.
She's the middle.
She's the middle. Okay.
Right.
So you got the oldest is who?
Marie,
Marie, then
Teresa,
Teresa, then Irene, then
Bernadette,
Bernadette, then the
me,
youngster,
then me.
little Leona they call
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I've got almost as much gray hair as the rest of them. Yeah. Now here she's following the outline of that flower. On something like this, the pattern you can follow right along.
Okay, why is she following the outline? Why? You
Well,
want us to make that tight? Or?
Emphasize the flower. It will
Right.
make
It brings out
I see. It
the
makes it more
pattern.
three-dimensional, like.
right. And like I mentioned on the white one, you can do it trapunto, and it makes it really stand out.
I can do it. What?
They call it trapunto.
Spell that for me.
You don't really want that. We should have brought our book.
the heart wall hanging.
Right, see that wall hanging right there? If you could bring that out, that is trapunto.
That's Rapunzel.
Really.
Not
Yeah.
to be confused with Rapunzel, right?
Yeah.
Learn something today.
And it's
Right.
called free motion.
That's
machine
what
quilting.
she's doing. Right. Right. Yeah. And she's developed like flowers, leaves, little loops, whatever. She comes up with her own design. And there's many quilts here that she has done. If we want a quilt done fast, we call Irene. And she does the layering of them too. You see how the pins are on there?
Yes, I do.
And that keeps all the layers together and keeps it tight. We don't want wrinkles.
Now, if somebody's sitting at home and said, "I'd like to learn how to do this,"
There are many books out.
go to your library or bookstore.
Right, like Joanne Fabrics. Any quilting store will have books. And many of them now are coming out with machine quilting, and they give you many good tips. Harry Wallner is a great one. She just put out a new book, and we've all got hers, and it was signed because Irene's a good friend of Harry Wallner. Met her down when she lived in Florida. She used to go to the Paducah quilt show. And that's a big quilt show.
Okay. So are you all pretty much self-taught then, or how did you all learn how to do it?
Well, we've taken lessons at different times, and there's always some new techniques come out.
I've never taken lessons.
She hasn't on machine quilting. She gives lessons now.
I've never taken.
No, she just
Just picked it
started
up?
on her own, saw it, and liked doing it. And her husband told her, "You should do it. You can do it." And this,
The rest is history, huh?
oh yes,
Now it's a job.
Now,
yes.
so does any of the family sell these on a regular basis, or just at the shows, or?
Oh yeah, she sells.
Take consignments?
Yes, they do. Yep. Yeah.
So if people want a quilt made, they can contact.
And I have
do you all-
actually done
Do you
one.
all do consignments, or just certain?
Well, most of the older ones.
the older ones. the older
I'm
ones.
still working.
The older ones do, huh? The older
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
I've been
Not your
working.
young ones.
Not yet. I did one for a girl at work, and she was pleased with it. And there again, but Irene quilted it for me. See.
Oh,
I pieced it,
oh, you pieced
and she
it?
quilted
You did
it.
the work.
Right,
And
right.
you got the credit.
Oh, I told her. I had her name on the tag.
Oh, like an artist, do you sign it somewhere? Do you have a little?
We make tags on the back, and you'll see on a lot of these quilts have special little tags on.
Okay, what you got in your hand? Is that a bobbin? What is that?
Bobbin, right? Those bobbins run out, so you'll have to put in a new one.
New bobbin.
I have to say hi. I was busy, and so were you, so I'm going right to
All
town.
right, is there
Yeah.
anything else we can see here that's going to be different, or should we move on?
If Marie is going to do some paper piecing,
All right, let's go
that
see
will be
Marie.
quite different. I'll get her over here. Marie!
Go ahead.
Foundation piecing is very popular because it stabilizes your fabric. I do not care for the commercial paper. I use tracing paper, and I copy my patterns from the books, put the numbers where they're supposed to be, and work from there. My favorite is patterns that I work from the middle and work out. This is the back, this is the pattern. Now that is a miniature. This is fairly normal size. And this is fairly easy because you just cut your strips. And this is an easy pattern because you just use triangles. And you sew right directly on the line. I think there's a little short here. It's a
I
light.
see the light blinking.
I flip it over, use my press, and there is the piece. I'll add the last triangle, right sides together, turn it, you sew on the side where the design is,
Oh, your light, yeah, your light went out.
but I still have the power. This will come out on my document. Turn it, press it. Now, those are the last pieces on this block. Now, I go on the last line and trim off the excess.
And that's where these rotary cutters are really handy.
Oh, we couldn't live without them now. They save so much time. They're so much more precise. Now there is your block.
And all done?
The block is done, but I do not take the paper out till I sew this to the other block.
Right.
Now that's like this. Once I had the borders on, then I turned it over and removed all the paper from this. The paper stabilizes the fabric and it doesn't stretch, and you can be so precise with
Little
corners
sharp
and angles.
corners. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's sample up on the wall.
Get the sample with the basket there. Here's a very intricate block. It's not easy because they're made in sections, and then when you put the sections together, there is a lot of bulk. So you would only use this in a wall hanging.
Very pretty. But how precise the points come out.
Well, this was the first one I did, and it is not as precise as I could have. See, there's a
There's
big
one that's-
boo-boo right there.
Yeah. But look at these points.
Yeah, and see, these points turned out good, but that one, so it makes that not so good.
Practice makes perfect.
Right. And thank you for stopping by. I
thank
hope
you.
everyone enjoys the show.
I think they are. I think they are.
Good.
We've been
'Cause,
having a ball.
I've enjoyed seeing everybody too. This is great.
Yep.
All right, that was Marie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, sometimes quilting can be used for dolls, and here's a doll-sized quilt. And see, a doll bed ensemble made by Leona Manor for her sister-in-law, Brenda Rabideau. Machine
Pieced,
and
hand quilted. Right.
Must be tough to make these little ones. Eh? It must take almost as much work as making a big one.
Oh yes, yes. And there again, but there's a secret to those little squares. This is called a 9-patch. It's sewing strips together, and then you cut your strips. So it makes it a little easier. But it's fun. It's fun.
And it's a little boy doll, we've been told. Huh? We won't tell people why we know it's a boy doll, will we?
I was told.
You haven't. Have you verified that or not?
Take my word.
Okay. And Deanna Pratt did the little
Yes, she did
nightgown, night shirt for him.
Yes. Yeah, she does beautiful work too.
All right. Do any of you people exhibit at the county fairs?
We haven't lately.
I know both Franklin County and Clinton County fairs have extensive.
We might be, but we haven't really made that decision yet. Irene and Bernadette and I each entered some in the Rutland Quilt Show back in April. But
And that big white one back there won, right? So,
one of the vendors' ribbons, yes. Irene was very proud of that.
I can imagine, especially the first time entering too.
Well, she has entered some before, and she was in Florida on that. But I had never done that. In fact, I've only been to 2 other quilt shows beside this.
Now I see that 90% of the people here are female, and the few gentlemen were probably dragged along by their wives.
Tagging along. Yes, it seems
it's-
that way.
Are there any men quilters that you know of? Let's go over by this cow one. I like cows here. Let's go over by this cow one there.
There are some, but I don't know them personally.
You just heard rumors that there might be some
And
out
there
there.
are some that do beautiful quilting. It looks like we've sold one here.
All right.
But this,
Buttermilk Farms here, huh?
yeah, that one's for sale. That's a small.
A small one. Well, it's sold. I'm going to buy that one.
You're going to buy
I'm
that?
going to buy that one.
Okay.
Well, don't tell Irene. All right. Anything else, Leona, that you think we should know about?
No, I think it all shows pretty well here. But I know Irene's doing a workshop in Hogansburg at the quilt shop up there. This is her second one. She's doing it next month. And the Log Cabin Quilters are holding their quilt show in this same place next month. And I'm sure the advertisements will be out. But I will be
And who
here
are the
to-
log cabin quilters?
It's Quilters Guild.
Are they from around this area? Or?
Yes, they're local from Altona, I believe, and they're in surrounding areas. And they're doing a benefit for Donna Courier.
Okay.
Yeah, and this will be in August. So
Okay.
look for those posters up, because I'm sure they're going to have a good show.
I hope they mention it so I can put it on Hometown Cable and get
Oh
the
yes.
word out.
If Marie Demore is here, I'm sure she left some posters up there.
Okay. Let's at least get your other 2 sisters on tape here. We haven't done that. You introduced me to them off camera, but we should at least, since they're not going to be doing demonstrations, at least get
That's right.
a picture of them. Otherwise, they're going to be.
Demonstration, but we're French.
We're French. I see. Just by talking, you do a demonstration.
Yes. Okay, this is Teresa. Now,
Tessie.
yes. And she's from Albany.
Albany. One of the
Yes.
Albany Tessies.
Yes. And her daughter is the one that teaches in Albany and does very beautiful work.
Did you teach your daughter, or did your daughter teach you?
I
I taught her some things, but she picked most of it up on her own. She just excellent in colors, and she just does beautiful work. I'm proud of her. But she's very disappointed she couldn't be here today. She had a wedding, so she couldn't. She'd travel miles for a quilt show.
Well, who wouldn't? I mean, after all. And the other
Yes,
sister.
I found that out, yes.
And the other sister is? Where is she?
Which one? Bernadette.
Bernadette. Bernie. Also known as Bernie.
Bernie, yes.
That's Aunt Bertie.
Aunt Bernie.
She's taking care of the boutique here.
The boutique. Ah, she's
Yes,
running the
she does
store.
A lot of these things here.
Ah.
Here on TV.
She makes hats too, is that?
No, my brother did these and just threw these in. He likes to do this printing and off
I
his
see.
camera, and he does T-shirts and stuff. We're having a family reunion tomorrow, so he's been doing quite a bit of this. Yeah.
Now, this is all handcrafted stuff here for the most part?
Bernie, Teresa, Irene, have done these. Bernie has all those bags over there. She does these kids' books here.
Okay, so you do more than just quilts.
Right, it does. I'm going to show you.
All right, we got a book here. Look at this.
You buy the fabric, is all just, you buy a yard of fabric or whatever, and then just by following the directions, you put the padding in and make the books. And children love them.
Oh, I can imagine.
They can't tear them, they can't eat them, even though they try. And we fool them, we wash them, and they have it back again.
And you can put their names in there?
And you're right.
And they're how much? $8?
These are 8, yeah.
That makes a wonderful Christmas
we can't
present,
even
birthday
get her over
present.
here.
She's just so busy making money. Just
Oh, yes.
all right. That's a very unique. So who sells those?
Bernie's been doing, she makes all the kids' books.
Okay, Bernie who?
Nichols.
Bernie
from
Nichols from
Cherubusco.
Cherubusco. One of the.
An old farm girl. We're all farmers. But
Okay.
yes, they're still farming, so. And that keeps her busy with her grandchildren at the house, but she still has time to sew.
Every time somebody drives out of Cherubusco, a big percentage of the population leaves.
Yeah. Yes, it's a small town, but we still love it.
That's where the homestead was.
Yes, it was on Route 11. The barn is gone now, but my nephew lives there. Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's I guess going to wrap it up, Leona. That sound like we've covered it.
I think so.
All right. Do you think you're going to be doing this again next year here, so people might plan for it?
I don't know. I really don't know. If not next year, maybe 2 years. But it's quite a thing to put on. Whether they can make that many quilts again, that's another thing. But we have fun trying.
Okay. All right, that's going to wrap up our coverage of the Silver Sisters Quilting Show. Is that what we called it? Mm-hmm. All right. Then at the Parish Hall, St. Edmunds, July 15th. I'm on my way to Line Mountain now to look at some railroad history.